I'm very proud of my son.
President Biden reacting for the first time since the Justice Department he oversees criminally charged his son, Hunter Biden. He will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to pay his income tax. He will also admit to a separate felony firearm offense. The deal likely averts time behind bars and gives Hunter probation instead. He may also have to pay a fine. Some in the media defending the president's son while attacking Republicans in the process.
Republicans have been trying to stir up conspiracy theories left and right. One after another have been disproven.
That's not going to stop Republicans, I venture to guess. I suspect we will have lots of howling from the GOP.
House Republicans are going to keep this up. They've decided to go all in on this as a way to keep the Republican base enthusiastic.
These are criminal charges. Republicans will call them a slap on the wrist.
You're already hearing a lot of shouting, oh, sweetheart deal, oh, this, oh, that.
This is not a sweetheart deal. It's a deal. I think it's a good deal for Hunter Biden.
Hunter's lawyer calling the matter resolved and that the first son will be taking responsibility for these mistakes. But the DOJ, just like an hour later, said that the investigation is still ongoing. And Republicans are vowing to plow ahead on investigations into the Biden family business.
Leading political opponent, the DOJ tries to literally put you in jail and give you prison time. If you are the president's son, you get a sweetheart deal. Now, this does nothing to our investigation. It actually should enhance our investigation because the DOJ should not be able to withhold any information now, saying that because of pending investigation, they should be able to provide Chairman Comer with any information that he requires.
And there's another major Hunter development. Get this, the New York Post reporting that Hunter Biden has privately settled his child support dispute with the mother of his unacknowledged 4-year-old daughter. And that one really takes the cake. We'll get into all of this. Jesse Waters, when the news broke during America's Newsroom, I said, get Jesse Waters on the phone. This is a story for you.
Well, this was not a plea deal. This was a cover-up. There's no way this is going to take 5 years for a case like this. They didn't even open up the laptop. The laptop doesn't even have to exist in order to hit Hunter Biden with these charges. You open up the laptop, and you have money laundering, you have foreign lobbying crimes, you have bribes, you have racketeering. Hunter's lawyer was on MSNBC about an hour ago, and they asked him, did they ever ask you about the laptop? And the lawyer said no. The laptop was never even introduced into this prosecution, so this thing was siloed and mopped up. I want to address something. This whole Trump prosecutor thing that people keep saying. Mm-hmm. It's not really as it seems. When the Republican president is inaugurated, he doesn't say, I want that guy to be my U.S. prosecutor out of Delaware. He doesn't even know this guy Weiss. How this happens is the 2 senators from the state of Delaware, 2 Democrats, select this guy Weiss. It's their idea of a Republican prosecutor. And that's how the guy's nominated. Coons and Carper picked this guy Weiss, all right? Regular Americans look at this and they say, do you think I'd be able to not pay income taxes for 2 years and then brandish an illegal firearm in front of a pile of crack cocaine and trafficked escorts? Hell no. Any good prosecutor would charge this guy with income tax evasion and ask the question, where'd the income come from? Well, the income came from all these foreign countries, and then they pass it through a maze of shell companies, and the prosecutor never followed the money. And there's no punishment in the plea agreement. Now, this has never been about Hunter. This has always been about Joe Biden. Hunter was never going to go to prison, whether it was a plea bargain or a pardon. There's still an active investigation going on with House Republicans, and they are uncovering new things this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Judge, can't wait to get your thoughts. One thing I wondered about your position on this debate. Was it a sweetheart deal, standard practice, or was it a harsh sentence, as some on the left claim?
I have never been more certain of a dual system of justice in this country than I am today. There is no question this was a sweetheart deal. And the man owed $1.2 million in back taxes for 2 years. How much money do you have to make to owe $1.2 million in back taxes? Okay, where else was he getting the money but from Burisma? We know he was making about $60,000 a month from Burisma while he was a crack addict and had no background in energy, other than his father, of course, being the point man on energy for the administration. So given that his job with Burisma was not enough to charge him with tax evasion in the amount of a tax misdemeanor, in the amount of $1.2 million, where else was he getting the money to raise him to that level of taxes owed? I think all you need to do is look at what we have looked at over the past several months. Number one, Joe Biden going before to the president of Ukraine and saying, if you don't get rid of the prosecutor on my son's company, we're going to withhold $1 billion. You got 6 hours to do it, okay? All of a sudden, the prosecutor's gone. Now Hunter's able to take care of his job. Then we hear about a 1023, and we hear about phone calls. That 1023 is during the same 2-year period that this tax evasion or tax crime, it's not even tax evasion, comes from. The tax crime is from 2017, 2018. It was during 2017 that conversation was had with the president of Burisma, who allegedly tape recorded the conversations with Joe and with Hunter, saying $5 million each. I'm taping this recording because I need to know that I can be certain that I'm going to get results. That makes sense in terms of where the money's coming from because the guy's a crack addict. Now, you also have a crack addict who lies on a pistol permit application and he gets a gun. It's a felony. But it doesn't end there. He allows that gun to be taken by someone else who puts it in a garbage can. That's a reckless handling of a gun. That is not protecting your weapon. And then what he does is he sends another person to find that gun in a garbage can near a school. And when she can't find it, they send the Secret Service. It is at this point that his father is no longer a vice president, and he is not allowed Secret Service protection. So what tentacles do these Bidens have? So then what happens is the Secret Service goes to get a copy of the pistol permit application from the gun owner because they're trying to cover it up. And the gun owner, the guy who owns the store, says, no friggin' way, you're not getting this application. So you got a crack addict who says he's not a drug addict, who lies, he gets a gun, and then they give him a break because he's a crack addict. Okay? Right. They say, we're going to let you go on diversion. No search warrant, no early morning raids, no jail time. Let me tell you something about this. He's a foreign lobbyist. Paul Manafort was in solitary confinement before he was even convicted as a foreign lobbyist. This guy was a foreign lobbyist. Alan Weisenberg with Trump. If you're on the Trump side, he took a car that he was loaned and a child that got tuition at a school. He's in Rikers Island. The guy's 77 years old. He's in Rikers Island. The left are a bunch of haters. This isn't just a crime against the Joe Biden and everyone else. It's a crime against America. They're taking us down.
Greg, what about the Democrats, especially Joe Biden? And he says he wants to be tough on tax cheats and gun crimes.
Yeah. Bit of hypocrisy there, don't you think, Dana?
Bit.
Yeah. I just learned a lot just now that, like, if I'm going to commit crime, I should do some crack first, right? Because then if I do the crack, then I could say I have a problem, and then they do this diversion thing. So always have crack with you when you're committing a crime. Hunter's guilty of a lot of crimes, but except for one, he's not a Republican. And he's guilty of privilege, but it's not white privilege, it's Democrat privilege. That's why I'm not outraged by this, I guess because I kind of accepted that as a reality. It's like whenever you turned on the other networks during the Trump era, they were always pulling their hair out over the same thing every day. But we already knew what Trump was. We already know what this system is. You know, the Democrats, the Republicans are always guilty of subjective crimes, right? It's like, insurrection, a coup, hate speech. It's like subjective. It's what you believe. It's not objective. Democrats are actually, like Hunter, guilty of objective crimes. I mean, these are actual crimes, but then they're dismissed. And they reject these objective crimes. Sometimes, you know, shoplifting really isn't a crime. Rioting and looting, mostly peaceful, that's just a way to represent your outrage. Wildfire arson suddenly became climate change. So all objective crimes don't matter. Subjective crimes matter. I think that love him or hate him, and I'm going to go bring this back to Trump, he was kind of outside all of this in a way, and I think that's why he was such a lethal risk. He wasn't an elite. He had no relatives in power. He was the anti-Hunter. So he didn't have friends in high places. He didn't have any relatives that were in politics, and he was already rich. So no wonder he was a target for destruction. He was a threat.
All great points here so far. Jessica.
Little lady.
Yeah, thank you. Love that. Such a compliment. Today, with this plea deal on tax evasion and gun crimes, and then we get late this afternoon this announcement of a settlement with the woman who he fathered a baby with, that it's a financial settlement. He's only going to have to pay $5,000 a month, not the $20,000 a month. I don't know what the other parts of the settlement are. But what we can say is it would be priceless to get to know your dad and even your grandfather. That's not going to happen, it doesn't seem like. But today I felt like is the first true day of the Joe Biden re-election campaign. Am I correct? Yes.
Yeah, I could
Good
see that.
answer.
It's
Okay.
certainly been trickling out since Saturday, which was the first official campaign event. And then Hunter was going to be a major talking point on the campaign, and that is slowly going away, but for good reason. So to try to tackle all the points that everybody made, which were aplenty. So what Hunter is not guilty of is being a Republican, but there's a Republican very closely allied with Trump named Roger Stone, who did worse than Hunter Biden. So he tax evaded $2 million, not 1.2 million, $2 million. And guess what happened? He was allowed to pay it back, and he wasn't even criminally charged. Hunter Biden, criminally charged, could face probation. Roger Stone, top guy to Donald Trump, skates free on that. It seems.
Wait, didn't they raid his house?
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't he the guy that went in
I'm talking about
guns
being
a-blazing?
No, you say guns a-blazing about everyone just because someone is carrying a gun. No one shot up any houses.
Oh.
No one was forced out of their house
That
in
was the
their
one where they
underpants.
tipped off CNN, though, to be
Yeah,
there for
the
the
helicopter.
raid.
Oh, the huge crime of having CNN there. Okay.
But I like
So-
the fact that you like guns now.
I really don't. And actually, I think that there should be stricter gun control in this country. But if you look at the DOJ records about how often what Hunter Biden did is actually charged, it's basically nil.
I'll tell that to Lil Wayne.
Do you notice I didn't interrupt a single person on the panel, so just give me a second.
I am so sorry.
In 2019, there were 298 cases brought of people falsifying their gun application records out of 27 million background checks that were completed. That's the year that Hunter Biden got that weapon. That means that this is something that doesn't get charged. If you want to say to the DOJ, you should be charging on this, go ahead and do that. But there's no reason that Hunter Biden should be the exception to this. In terms of David Weiss, who you say was hand-selected by the Democrats, Donald Trump said he's someone who shares his vision for making America safe again. That is a quote from Donald Trump.
He
That
just
is not a quote.
read that was put in front of him.
So he's a completely disingenuous
No, because
fool
not
who has
everybody
no
selects
control.
all of their prosecutors in all 50 states, Jessica.
excuses
How do I know that
never
and you
end.
not?
You know a lot of things that I don't know because they're made up, invented in your head. So
Invented? Hunter Biden's a criminal, and they didn't even bring the laptop into the case. You think that's justice? You think that's justice?
I want Brett Baier to add David Weiss
I'll
to
take
that
that as a
incredible
no.
list of terrible losers that Donald Trump gave jobs to and then has to turn against. It's ridiculous. The
Coons
man
and
is
Carper
not.
picked him. Well, how do you feel about the fact that that gun ended up in a garbage can right near a
I feel
school?
terrible about it.
All right,
I think
so
that we
he
should have,
let that happen.
But
that was
pre-trial-
reckless.
Sure,
Okay,
but pre-trial diversion is actually the method that the GOP likes best, and they feel
let
that
me
when you
tell
go
you
after,
something.
no,
As
you
a
let me tell you.
prosecutor who's been in the trenches for 30 years, don't tell me what the GOP likes. I'm going to tell you what crimes are prosecuted. That is prosecuted. I don't care what people think. Everyday
It's not
prosecutors
according-
across this country do it.
According
the feds
to
don't
the
do local
DOJ
crime.
statistics,
The feds don't do
they
local crime.
don't
The local, the
prosecute
DAs
it.
do.
No one.
I'm not giving up on that one.
You don't. We'll talk about it in the break because we're getting cut
will.
off now. But I'm just telling you, look at the DOJ stats. They do not prosecute for this.
Yeah.
You actually can't get this plea if you wave your gun around a pile of narcotics, Jessica.
All right.
That's a DOJ statistic.
Okay, coming up, rise of the unconventional candidates, RFK Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy showing up where top candidates wouldn't dare go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.